What's up guys? I have the MHP Mark II here. This is hands down my favorite design that I have ever done, and I really do like the pigeon a lot. But this is better to me. This is more what I want. The pigeon was sort of almost like a novelty and a side project that I was working on. This is sort of the main attraction for me. It is the follow-up to the MHP-1, which was, I think, the first mag and handle Nerf blaster that wasn't rival. And just like that, this is a fully 3D printed design. It is, unlike that one, completely remodeled from scratch in Fusion 360. It's a much better program for what we do in the hobby and the community. So essentially this is a mag and handle strife, or sort of like a strife. It's like a strifeoid blaster. It uses a strife cage. To my knowledge, 41.5 and smaller, like an Eclipse, is all that will fit. That isn't necessarily true, but I don't know for sure. I haven't tested the others. I did look and see that with some minor tweaks and modifications, this can take an ultra strife cage. So there may be a future version that is designed for that cage or for compatibility with that cage. That's inspired by my friend Tobe in Germany, who made the Ultra MHP, which was phenomenal, and I will link that in the description. So to go over its features, it's pretty big. It's about strife size, like you'd expect from something that's about strife, performance, strife-ish. It has a large orange tip here. It's the same barrel diameter, so the old ones from the MHP-1 will work too. I really like this. I feel like it really pulls together the look. It has two front end variations. There is this MP7 style angled, just slip guard front end battery cover. This is the battery cover, and then there's this P90 PDW PDR sort of style foregrip. I really like that, but if you don't like that and you want something else, I've also been working on a folding grip that will screw into the bottom of the battery tray here. The battery goes here, the micro switches go here. The mag release has been upgraded to just become the trigger guard. It's much more streamlined and a lot easier to hit. It's a lot nicer in the finger. The part is a lot sturdier. The trigger is now on a pivot, which is so much better. It's no work to fit it once you printed it, and it's a lot more ergonomic. It feels a lot nicer. This trigger's chunkier and you get good purchase. There is this indentation for your fingers, so that at rest you have trigger discipline at rest, like that, and you can just come down and hit the mag release. What you cannot see here is that both the trigger and the mag release are put on compression springs, which are much easier to find in the Nerf hobby, and just about any catch spring will work for the trigger. And these will take, I don't know what size you need, but it doesn't have to be a big one. The ergonomics are so much better. I talked a lot with SKaR, and he had like a 6 or 7 video series on how to make the handles more ergonomic on a strife, and talking about the general everything. It's really informative and good. I highly recommend watching that. But I talked to him about how to make the handle more comfortable, and it paid off so well because this is so just perfect. I did put grooves for the fingers. They're pretty minimal, but they just help you get your fingers in the right place every time. It's, as I said, it's got this finger rest. It's very narrow and small for a mag and handle design with Nerf. So it has a sort of gas block here. It's kind of sunk in because I don't have the battery. It's supposed to stick out, but you could put a 3/4 inch diameter flashlight in here too if it was pretty short, or you didn't mind it sticking out far. I, might look into how to make my own flashlight. It has a charging handle that's forward with forward placement, which makes it a lot easier to actually check your ammo and jams and things because your hand isn't in the way. What else? There are sights that it comes with. The sight picture down is fairly, simple, pistol-y, very easy, nice open picture, very easy for quick shots and acquisition. But they also flip up, and when they're flipped up, they're raised, so they're a little more comfortable to see and aim more carefully and long term. The front sight has a ring, and the rear sight is just got this, pretty simple hexagonal almost picture. And I actually find that I really like using them raised, but it also has a full-length rail, and so you can just use a red dot or a hollow sight, which is what I've actually been doing, is the holographic. And finally, one of the kind of coolest features of it is the stock is collapsible and retracts into a much smaller package, and it's fully adjustable. So if you want a short stock, or if you're like me and you want a long one, you can do that. It works a lot. I'm sorry. It works a lot like a Raider stock. With these, you press both of these, and then it allows it to collapse. Once it's pushed in, it will not budge any shorter. So you put it at your length that you want, and it should be good for anything but the roughest shouldering, and it will just pull out without any. You don't have to press the buttons to pull it out. That really is one of the top features for me on this, but there are some internal features as well that I can go over. If you don't want the retractable stock, say you like your Raider stock, I do also have an N-strike attachment that screws on the back instead. So internally, like I said, it takes a strife cage. Mine right now is an original riot cage, and I do have some upgrade plans. It could take an Eclipse cage if you modified that to take katana mags, because the metal Eclipse cages have a very wide dart guide. You need to chop that down, and I'm very tempted to do that myself. So unlike the MHP-1, it comes apart in just two halves. The components are less likely to jump out because of the compression springs. They don't twist and things. So first thing you're going to see is that mine is very different from a normal circuit, and there's some reasons for that. So before I get to the fun stuff, I made it so that the two components, the handle and the upper, if you do the two pieces of the upper, there are screw ports here. They do not like the original Riot cage. I'm pretty sure they'll work with others, but I haven't tested that. It really ought to. Otherwise, that's a poor design. It screws in to here, and then there's a screw here, here, and on the later versions in here to hold the handle and the upper together. I'm going to recommend printing it in one piece on a CR10 or similar 12-inch print bed printers, just because it's always better to have a solid piece where you can, but it should work just fine in multiple pieces. The jam door just slides through here. It's that piece, and then the handle, and then you just put a compression spring here with some screws. The more exciting part though, here, zoom in for this, is the internals here. So same 1-inch barrel as before. That was designed with the long strike barrel in mind. I have a printable option. My sister, Brianna Cafecino or whatever, who's been on Draft's channel, she really liked that barrel, so I'm going to recommend that you do that if you don't have something very similar, 1-inch outer diameter or so. So the big thing, probably the most important improvement on the whole design, is this pivoting trigger, because what it allows is 2 switches. So this means you can have a standard rapid strike circuit with the auto pusher, which I do not have right now because mine is different. I wanted to go all out on mine. So that means that you wire up this switch with a normally closed instead of normally open, and put a spring here, it'll push it closed. So when you pull the trigger some, it revs, and when you pull it all the way, it fires when it hits the bottom switch. It's very natural. It's actually super. I wasn't expecting that, you know what, 12 degrees of turn and, you know, a half an inch of pull would be enough that you could really very easily rev and shoot. But it's a lot better actually than the MHR, the ACR. I might make a real MHR sometime. That's my own design, but the ACR with its linear pull is a lot easier to go too fast. It's actually surprising how much easier this is to just prime for shooting with the rev trigger. Again, compression springs here is a lot easier to use. It's a lot easier to find. Don't push that, Ellie. And now I'm going to get to kind of one of the big things here, why I took so long to make a video. I decided to use a solenoid instead of an auto pusher, which means that this is semi-auto. But Adrian Ward, who made the Flywheel the World system, also made a dumb circuit, so to speak. There's no Arduinos or anything for select fire between semi and full auto. And I have used that circuit in here. It works. It is awesome. It's so cool. So this solenoid is not just semi-auto, it is full auto. That means that there's a pulse generator, 2 MOSFETs, 2 switches, and a selector switch on here, and it was days of work for me to get it put together, but so worth it. I think that covers the internals. You can also, if you like the old system, do a single switch auto pusher. There's a different trigger for that. You could feasibly just make swappable circuits, although I find I really like both for their own reasons, but with the solenoid and semi-auto, I'm not going to switch back to this circuit probably, but I did keep it intact. So this is the auto pusher. It's the TT gearbox, return spring and a pusher, and it just works like this. This is much better designed. The tooth engagement on the gears is much smoother and stronger, so I haven't gotten jumps, I haven't gotten short strokes or anything like that. It just works really nicely. This, originally I used an auto pusher and modified it from Thingiverse. This one is just all my own design, although I did utilize that same pinion gear. The whole thing though is, you know, a new design so that it's all just a single piece. There's no working around multiple pieces. Screws in the front, which is nice and convenient, and it's all solid. This is the same circuit, so your switch for single goes down here like this, and this trigger just presses that. So if you want it to run all 3 motors with motor braking, which will give you a quieter blaster, and is a lot of fun because it's, you know, it just shoots and stops, shoots and stops. I really like that. You don't worry about anything like revving or anything, you just shoot. And that's really nice. I do like that a lot. But the capability to do something different is here, and that's really cool. That's what I wanted. That's one of the really exciting things about this, is that you can do something else. If you just like full auto, but you want, you know, the better control over revving and shooting, you can do the 2 switch, and I think most people probably actually will. If you want the quick burst to quiet shooting, you can do the 1 switch, or if you want a solenoid, you can do that. If you want to take it even a step further, you can do the solenoid and use Adrian Ward's select fire circuit, which I have done. Or you could take it a step even further and you could do, you know, an Ultra MHP like Tobe in Germany, and that's just insanity, but it's really awesome that he did that, and it's so cool. So I will make a version, like I said, eventually that's capable of that. There is some room up here and here for some of that sort of like circuitry and electronics and all of that. I just, internally it's a lot smoother and simpler. You know, the solenoid has slots here that it will just seat into, and that just holds it. It's just clamped by the shell. If you do the auto pusher, you may have to, I had to heat mine up a little bit. It catches, it's pretty hard to get in, but it will if you want to. And I think that covers internals. So for the other part of the function of it is, you know, actual usage. It's the same size battery tray, so that's kind of a letdown. I think you could fit, so I know you can fit these graphenes, the 1065C graphene 3S. 2S's would work too, but if you do a 2S and you do the auto pusher, you'll need to kind of, you know, you may need to rethink your motors in the gearbox. Because this will shoot probably only 3 darts per second on a 2S. So, the same as the original MHP. I actually tried to design it smarter and found that I wanted to make a lot of the same design decisions. Which is kind of funny to me after, you know, the pigeon and how small that is, but there's some particular reasons that's so small. The standard stripe cage really limits a lot of the things. So the battery goes in there, just like before. Oh, wait, I picked the wrong battery. I don't usually use this one for it. Oh, gosh. You could maybe fit so this is like my favorite battery, to be honest, is this Nanotech 1300 milliamp hour 3S, but the 1500 may also fit too. It squeezed, we managed to squeeze one into a pigeon. Unlike the MHP-1, we now have 4 screws on here because I felt like the 2 wasn't really secure enough. But if you only wanted 2, you could use just 2, like these two middle ones. Finish out the MHP-2 video. We have, you know, my MHP-2. So I've got 2 mags with 10 each. Mine is select fire, so actually you can see here is my switch. Back is semi. And I put full on front, the reason being that if I'm, you know, say I'm going to use full auto, I plan that it's probably going to be like more of a mag dump sort of situation. That being said, I don't necessarily think that I'm not going to just lay down a lot of fire with it anyway. The rate of fire is faster than I'm used to with my MHP, so it's sort of like a either or thing for me, but... So, my trigger spring is not exactly strong enough to overcome the switch without a little bit of help. That means that it has sort of a toggle in revving, which I'm actually kind of okay with because it means that I have a little more unintentional control over it. I'm going to just shoot 10 semi-auto shots. Spot on my target. This isn't very far. I mean, this is maybe 15 feet away. But I don't have space or range for a longer range target. So this is the second mag, full auto. So fun, so cool. So like I said, kind of intend that to be shoot a few and then just dump a mag on someone with the full auto. High rate of fire on the full auto. Every trigger pull is pretty much a burst, I've found, so you know, I'll just do some burst shots here.